Now in the spotlight this time is Eskom's supplier contracts. This comes after Afriforum obtained a court order to scrutinize coal, diesel and transport contracts that Eskom entered into with service providers. Joining us to unpack this in greater detail is energy writer for Business Day, Denene Erasmus. Denene, thank you so much for joining us. Take us through why Afriforum is interested in these contracts.
This is really a significant judgment for not only for Afriforum, but really for all South African citizens, because it will shed light on some of the areas where there have been a lot of questions, especially in terms of prices Eskom is paying for diesel, and I think we know from what has been reported in the past that there is a lot of corruption and sabotage in the coal value chain. Supplying Eskom. So this will definitely provide some much needed transparency in these areas. The court judgment was handed down last week, Friday, in the High Court in Pretoria. And this is after Afriforum had tried to obtain the details through Eskom by launching a Promotion of Access to Information Act request that Eskom hand over these contracts in 2022. Eskom did hand over some information, but it was incomplete, and the utility didn't really provide any good reasons for why they could not hand over the complete information that Afriforum was seeking. And this was why Afriforum then resorted to going through the courts to try and force Eskom to hand over these documents, which has now happened. And Eskom will now have until next week, Friday, until April the 5th, to hand over coal and diesel supply contracts and also the transport contracts for coal and diesel, and as well as some contracts in other areas, for example, contracts with independent power producers, and contracts that Eskom has with neighboring countries for electricity supply.
I mean, these contracts would not necessarily usually be, made available to the public, to any parties outside of those parties that are party to it. But we do see here that the courts have decided that it is in our best interest for us to know what's in those contracts. Let's just talk about that and maybe even the precedent that may be set here.
So the judge rejected Eskom's objection that some of the information was commercially sensitive, and found that the general public does have an interest in accessing all of these contracts so that we can view the terms, the purchase prices, and the service periods of these contracts. And this is really so that there can be greater transparency and to understand whether or not Eskom is paying market-related prices or inflated prices, and also to see where the weaknesses are in supply chains that make them vulnerable to corruption and sabotage. So Eskom did argue that, one of the arguments was that Afriforum would use this information to their own benefit. Afriforum has started its own energy business, but as the organization explained in court, their business is more focused on getting their members and the wider public independent of Eskom. So that argument by Eskom was also rejected by the judge.
And if it's found, Denene, that there is something untoward, in these contracts, one of the things that's interesting is Eskom has brand new leadership. The CEO is new, and then where would accountability even begin to be seen? Would it be with old leaders, people who've left the organization? If we do find that, of course, there is something worth pursuing there from a legal perspective.
Well, I guess it will depend on what is in these contracts, and if there is any irregularity, what the nature of that irregularity is. And although there's been a lot of changes in leadership at the top, the other structures within Eskom has not seen as many changes. So if there is accountability, it is possible that those that should be held accountable are still in place. And I think what would also be of benefit to the public in getting access to this information is to, as I said, to really understand where the weaknesses are, and then to see whether under the new management and since the appointment of the new board, and also now that we have a new CEO, whether there are proactive steps being taken at Eskom to really address whatever weaknesses there are that could make these supply chains vulnerable to corruption.
That would be a bit of an indictment on internal counsel at Eskom, wouldn't it?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Would that be an indictment on the internal counsel at Eskom?
Again, we would have to see what we find in these contracts. And I think one of the areas where there already has been a lot of speculation is around the diesel supply contracts that Eskom has, specifically with Petro SA. So it was suggested that Petro SA at some point charged Eskom inflated prices for diesel, and this was really at a time when Eskom was struggling not only with diesel supply, but also with the money to pay for diesel, to keep its emergency power reserves running to save South Africa from much higher stages of load shedding. Petro SA denied this, and I mean, it was also denied by government. And but so I think, if we do get access to these contracts and we can see, what prices were charged and see if they were fair when compared to market prices at the time. If there is irregularity, and I mean, if we do see that the prices were inflated, then I think that the responsibility does not only fall with Eskom, but I think there's sort of there's wider accountability that then also goes to the Department of Public Enterprises.
I'll be watching for all those details. Denene, thank you so much for taking us through this one. That was energy writer for Business Day, Denene Erasmus.